Hello everyone, I'm Grace. Welcome to my channel, The Blooming Lotus in Paramita. Today we're going to talk about Zen. What is Zen? If we Google, the Wikipedia will tell us that Zen is a school of Mahayana Buddhism that originated in China during the Tang Dynasty as Chan Buddhism. Zen school was strongly influenced by Taoist and developed as a distinct school of Chinese Buddhism. Zen emphasizes rigorous self-control, meditation practice, insight into Buddha nature, and the personal expression of this insight in daily life, especially for the benefit for others. As such, it de-emphasizes mere knowledge of sutras, but favors direct understanding through interaction with an accomplished teacher, etc. After all this, I'm pretty sure that you are still confused. What is Zen and how can we sense it? I believe everyone here had read the story of Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha came to this world not as a god or an enlightenment human being. He was born some 500 years before the birth of Jesus. He was the prince of Kapilavastu, raised in a palace with every imaginable luxury. He was called Siddhartha Gautama, a prince among the camp of warriors. He was brought up most delicately. His father wanted him to be a king, to conquer the whole India kingdom. So the father created an artificial environment to cuddle him, to prevent him from ever noticing that anything might be wrong with the world, because he hoped that his son could stay in the life they knew and loved, and not go to the office was predicted at his birth, and possibly become a spiritual teacher of the world rather than a great king. Shielded from pain and suffering, the prince spent his life in the palace. Every whim satisfied, every desire fulfilled, while the most costly garments ate the finest food, surrounded by beautiful women. He spent 29 years here until the shimmering bubble of pleasure burst. Although his father did everything that he can to never let his son live, never let him see the suffering that life is, one day he went outside for a traveling through the kingdom. He had the first of 4 encounters at this trip. He sees an old man and he asked his attendant. The attendant told him that as all that change, one doesn't always stay young and perfect. Then the next outside trip, he saw a sick man and doesn't quite understand. Then the attendant told him that all that happened to all of us. After that, he saw a woman who was delivering a baby and a dead man. Then he recognized impermanence and suffering. And as the real state of things of the world, that he had been protected from shield, from cap, from singing. And he was shocked. He realized, this is my favorite too. I will also become old. I will also become ill. I will also die. How do I deal with those things? These are the universal questions in any human being's life. What it's like to be in a body inside of time and our fate? How do we navigate that? It is a tale of the transformation from a certain naive, innocent relationship to our own life. And then the fourth trip outside, the prince saw a spiritual seeker, someone who has decided to live a life completely other than his life, to escape from impermanent suffering and desires. The Buddha decided to leave his royal family and the royal responsibilities to realize full enlightenment and the truth of human life. He left secretly soon, surviving on the charity of strangers, sleeping on the cold ground in the dark forest. He became an ascetic and practiced over 6 years in the forest. Eventually, at a place called Buddha Gaya, under a Bodhi tree, the prince decided to remain in meditation until he realized the truth of the universe, which could benefit all beings. After spending 6 days and nights cutting through man's most subtle obstacles, he attained the enlightenment. On a full moon morning of May, a week before he turned his 35 years old. This beautiful story may not be enough for you to understand what is Zen, but the story of his life then is a beautiful way of telling the teacher. He who sees me sees the teaching, the Buddha said. And who sees the teaching sees me. What teaching we can see from Buddha's life is everyone needs a cultivation. The Buddha himself didn't make an exception. He attained his Buddhahood because of studying and practicing. The road that Buddha traveled has been proved to be a path of truth, and this truth could be copied and followed. So we need to practice, follow Buddha's teaching and Buddha's step. What's more important, we will have an self-affirmation, which is enlightenment, the Buddhahood. And just after his enlightenment, Buddha said, "How amazing! All living beings have the wisdom and virtue of the Buddhas. Yet because of their idle thoughts and attachment, they fail to realize it." Can you picture something like a person thought about something for a long time, then suddenly he realized how to figure out and the truth. He will say, "Wow, it turns out like this." Buddha just told us the truth he found in his enlightenment. So this is the reason that I mentioned this sentence, this teaching again and again in my video. I hope that all of you can understand how important this teaching could be. If we could not understand it fully, we may not understand the essence and foundation of Buddha's teachings, because we cannot see the equality of all beings and the future that we will eventually become Buddhas. The relevance of it is in the message of story, the promise of story. Like any good story, it has a lot to teach. I hope that everyone can calm down and sense this sentence with your hearts. Maybe when you are struggling, when you are about to crushed by the last straw, your heart will suddenly remember this sentence, suddenly become spacious and bright. At that moment, you'll be surprised by it and the wonderfulness of life. Thank you very much for your listening. I'm Grace. If you like my video, you can give me a like, or you are very welcome to subscribe my channel. If you have any questions, please contact me at the links of my YouTube page. I'm always down to connect and answer any questions from you. I see you next week. Bye.